You've built your reputation, you know your craft, but somewhere between launching the business and scaling it, you stopped paying attention to what you were actually good at and started chasing whatever felt like the next right move was. We get to sit down with Morgan J. Ingram in this episode, who is the founder of AMP Creative and one of the most respected voices on sales and LinkedIn content. And he talks about the cost of that chase. We dig into how over-indexing on AI is actually leaving your sales team further behind. We talk about how Morgan spent 18 months building the wrong business for him and what his pivot looked like. We also talk about the mindset shift that sellers and creators have to go through to actually become business owners and why people don't make it. If you've ever pivoted away from the work that people are asking for, or if you're building a business that looks really great on paper but doesn't really feel like you're not going to want to miss this one. Welcome to another episode of Founders Growth. My name is John Hill, aka Small Mountain. I'm the founder of Adapted Growth. And today on the show, we have a very cool guest. We have Morgan J. Ingram. He is the founder of AMP Social and someone I've been following on LinkedIn for a very long time. So I'm excited to have him on. Morgan, can you talk a little bit more about the work that AMP does and who you support and work with?
Yeah. So the problem that we're solving right now is that everyone is over indexing on AI, yet not focusing on the skills development of their sales reps. So our main mission and our whole entire goal is to make sales more human in an AI world, while still obviously using AI. And we help organizations with their conversational skills, social selling, video selling, cold calling, in-person relationships. So they're able to build more quality pipeline and close more deals. And we have our program, it's called Sales Team 6, that we do that in with cohorts within the organization. So that's our main focus.
Very cool, man. I like the whole AI thing. Everyone is like running, screaming towards it with the hair caught on fire. And if you've been in sales for a while, you see all the warning signs, right? But it's one of those things that becomes very shiny to people that don't come from sales and marketing, and they think they can automate the whole thing, right? When you're working with a team and they're too excited about AI, like how do you get them to come out of that loop and to kind of go back to appreciating the craft of conversations and making connections?
I start asking them questions to understand, why are they so bullish? So John, you'll laugh at this. And this is not to make fun of anyone. This is just the conversations that I have.
Sure.
So I was talking to a sales leader and they're like, we want all of our SDRs to be an AI for an hour a day. And I was like, cool. Okay. So like, what's the result of that? They're like, so our team can be more productive. I'm like, okay, how are you tracking if they're being more productive?
Mm-hmm.
No answer. Crickets. And I was like, okay, so we got to figure that out. And then I was like, okay, so let's say they are more productive, they have more time. What are you going to do? Crickets. They didn't have an answer on that. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, this is the problem that I'm seeing with most leaders, is that we want to do this AI stuff. We want to do these things, yet we don't know how to track the productivity, and we don't know what we will do if our reps actually had more time. So I get them to ask those questions, and then they realize, well, we just want our team to be more efficient and productive. And I'm like, well, let's start with leveling up their skills first and get them to understand and how to connect the dots, build business acumen, and talk to humans. Because if they can't do that, then using the AI makes no sense. So
100%.
that's the work that I'm focusing on with people is, yeah, you could say it's pipeline generating, sure, but it really is on how do we have conversations with people and not overlook that.
Yeah. Like, there was someone who was on the show recently and they were talking about how, trust is at an all-time low, right? And I
Oh,
get a ton of outreach and most of it is, you know, really, really, really rough, right? You can tell that it's AI driven. You can tell that it's scraped and, it's not any good and everything. And, we take the same approach of like, you need to be a human. You got to show up as a human. And if you want to get treated as a human first, you need to act like a human first, not like a
yeah.
salesperson, not just like someone who's trying to build some pipe and, slam some deals and everything. Changing gears just a little bit. I'm excited to talk to you about your path as a founder. How long have you been running AMP?
It's been 3 years now.
3 years now. Okay.
Yeah.
And I would love to talk to you about what it started out as, because we were talking before we turned on the recording. It wasn't the work that you were doing now. And I think that being able to pivot is one of the most important things that a founder needs to kind of like stay aware of and everything. what did you envision the business as when you started?
Yeah, so to be to be real with it and also to give a little bit of context for people. So from 2017, 2018 till the beginning of 2023, I was doing in-person workshops with a company called JB Sales, and mainly was doing SDR, AE training for top of funnel.
Mhm.
So I was on flights all the time. I went to all different countries and all different cities. That's not to flex on anyone. I'm just telling you the level of travel and the
Yeah.
level of work, because I was a full sales cycle rep essentially, and also was delivering these workshops and doing webinars and still posting content on LinkedIn. So I was just doing a lot. And so I'll be honest, at the end of that 2023, beginning of 2022, 2023, I was like, I never want to do a sales training ever again. I was cooked, man. Like, yep, that's what, and again, people know me for that. But
Mhm.
I'm gonna be real, with people. I was like, yo, I didn't want to give any advice on sales. Like, I was just so cooked. I was doing like 60 to 70 trainers a year. So it's like, I just was exhausted. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't have anything left to give. And I felt disingenuous to do that. So when I started the company, it literally came from just like praying one day, and God was like, "You should call it AMP." I was like, "Cool." So that's what I called it. And then I just felt in the moment, I was like, "I'm not going to do any sales training or sales coaching," so I stopped it completely.
Mhm.
And my goal actually was to be a full-time influencer. I was like,
Oh.
not going to do any coaching or training. If you want me to come talk, that's cool. I just was like, how can I get brands to pay me X amount? And I just want to create content. That's the only thing I cared about.
Mhm.
And I think it's really important, and I'm curious, John, from other guests you've had on, is to not beat yourself in the moment about decisions you make, because it's the data and the information you had at the time.
Yep.
So at that moment, at that time, it was the best decision for me. So yeah, it started out as in like me doing brand deals, and then it started out as doing like influencer led shows. So like, webinars, but they were like more shows, and like they were more like there's more to it.
Mhm.
Cause at the time, a lot of people wanted to start doing shows and things of that nature and getting into more
Yep.
virtual events again. So that was what I was doing.
Yeah. I think, I like what you said about not beating yourself up because ultimately it's not super helpful, right? Like you've made the decision, you committed to the action.
Yeah.
Now, I think the mark of success and one of the things that like people struggle with is being able to read the leaves, see the signs, read between the lines and stuff like that. There
Yeah.
was someone, a guy named Dan came on the show, and we were talking about, he's in the content space. He helps people with like video editing and everything. And one of the things that he was talking about was he was just so resistant to the things that people were asking him for, right? They wanted editing and he didn't really want to be an editor and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so I think one of the things is you're allowed to go off and make whatever decisions you want and try to launch whatever you want. But if you're getting feedback from people of like, man, this is cool, but like, what I would really love? Like, that is uh, that is very valuable information, and we can become a little too dogged, right? A little too like, well, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not a sales trainer anymore. I'm doing
Yeah.
this thing over here. But if everyone is asking you for the thing, at some point we should take the note. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just thinking like, oh, you're not smart enough. You don't get it. You're not smart enough. You don't get it. I know what I'm doing over here. Like eventually, we kind of need to realize like, oh, there's some signal here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
were you
I mean,
getting
I
so?
resonate with that because I just was fighting it. I was like, I just, in that moment, I was like, I don't know how I could go down this path.
Yeah.
But I also did not take the time to reframe it or take
Oh,
a step back to look at it differently
that's a
in what
game
I do
changer as
today.
well.
How I do it today, like, you could still say it's trading, but it's different than how I did it in the past, and
Mhm.
I'm fully, love what I do, but I had to reframe it so it made sense for me.
Yeah.
So, it's that, but I understand what you're I understand the editing guy, like, I get that. I'm like, I don't wanna do the things that people are asking me to do.
Yeah, and if, like, being burnt out is a very real thing. We have, this episode isn't out yet, but, one of the guests is a burnout coach, and one of the things we talked about is, like, what's the difference between being burnt out and just like going through a season of challenge, like putting yourself out there in a meaningful way? Like if you're
Yeah.
doing hard work and you're taxing yourself and you're really pushing yourself, you should be tired, but that's different than just being completely burnt out. We had a very cool conversation about the differences of it and stuff. And what happens is a lot of people start thinking, well, if I get the promotion or if I get the new job or whatever, it's all going to change. And it's probably
Yeah.
not going to change. You know, we have to go through that process of reframing it for ourselves and kind of, you know, if you want to, you know, go down like the book path, like the Simon Sinek, you know, like start with why and, you know, like why is this stuff important to you? If it's just for money, you're probably not going to make it.
No.
Like you got to have some other connection point to it.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
how long into the journey were you when you realized that you were going in the wrong direction and made sense to pivot and to kind of go in more of a sales training direction?
I would say it was, yeah, about a year and a half,
A year and a half. Okay.
probably 14, 18 months.
Now, I'm because I did a version of this as well. When I started my business, I was just, you know, trying to go find the things that I wanted to do. And it was like
Yeah.
CRM consulting, it was writing on LinkedIn, it was doing a just, you know, kind of whatever I thought people would be excited to pay me for and things that I could do a good job of. And then I read this book called The E Myth, right? It was talking about, you know, a lot of people build a business that's not scalable because they've built it around things that they're really great at. And
Yeah.
so I had this moment. I read this book and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to build a trap for myself. I've got to get out of this thing. And so I had like 4 or 5 clients that were paying me to go network for them and to write content for them. And I had this realization of like, okay, no one's going to allow me to bring someone else on to do this work. And I want to build a scalable company. So I'm going to go fire these clients. So like I wasn't really at a revenue level to where I should be like, you know, ripping out retainers and shutting down business and
Yeah.
stuff like this. But just it felt important to me that I make this change, right? And I got lucky in the fact that I was able to find new business to kind of replace the business that I was like exiting out of and everything. But I'm curious, was your realization like as stark as mine, or was it kind of more gradual?
Uh, it wasn't as aggressive as that, but
Probably
but
better.
but
So,
also still had that thought process.
mhm,
Uh, I remember John Barrows, who I worked with,
yep,
he gave me the book E-Myth. I also read it as well,
mhm,
and I had, like, this same thing. I was like, "I don't wanna be trapped." So then I was like, "Okay, if I'm the influencer, like, am I just gonna be trapped, like,
yeah,
forever creating content for the rest of time and, like, working with brands and, like, beholden to an algorithm that I don't understand?" That, like,
mhm,
didn't sit well with me at all. So, yeah, I think it was 8 months into doing, like, my own work, I brought in I would say, like, a director of operations, essentially, and I was like, "How do we do things that are, like, not me involved?" So that was literally the year and a half of, like, trying to figure that out.
wow,
Which led to confusing messaging and led to, like, brand mistiness because I was obviously am known for a thing, but I was like, "I don't wanna talk about the thing I'm known for anymore, I wanna go in a different direction." Because I was trying to figure out, like, how do I, 1, scale, and 2, how do I, like, not always be the center of attention?
yeah,
And I've come to grips on what that is now, but, like, yeah, I was trying to figure out how do I create a model where, like, it's not always on me, and I don't
mhm,
have to get on a plane, and I can actually, like, be at home if I wanted to. I was really trying to figure that out, so I was like, if it takes me a year and a half and I lose X amount of money, I was like, I would just wanna see if this is possible because, like, I just don't wanna be stuck.
yeah. Man, I've talked to a lot of people that have kind of accidentally like found a lane attraction, and for every one of them that is like really happy and pleasant, I talk with a lot of people and then they feel trapped. They're part of this machine and it doesn't really fulfill them, but they feel like they can't step away from it at all, right? Which is
Yeah.
just that terrifies me. I feel like I'm not doing this for anything like that. I want to have freedom and also want to pour into other people and different things like that, you know. So when you were starting the business, I'm curious because coming from sales, we get used to being in motion, moving things forward. You got to have a healthy amount of optimism or else you won't ever find any success in the role. What was the biggest thing you had to change your mind on?
In terms of how I sold or just in general changing my mind?
Ooh, great question. I would love answers on both of them, but let's just start on the big one. Like from a business perspective, what have you had to kind of adapt your thinking on or change your thinking on to get to where you are now?
I think I had to stop thinking like a creator, a seller, and think like a business owner.
Oh, dip. Okay.
And like probably the first year and a half, even 2 years, I don't think I did a good job of that if I'm being super honest with my own self. It's
What
like,
is like what does the bad job look like? Right? Because like I can appreciate what you're saying, and I appreciate you being open and honest about it. But it's also one of those things to where like I think a lot of people would nod and be like, yes, 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 but not really know granularly
yeah,
like what that looks like.
so like as a salesperson, you have a goal to hit. So you're gonna do activities, you're gonna close the deal, you're gonna do everything you can. But that's all you're asked to do is to bring in growth.
Yes. Yep.
Respectfully, I'm not like I'm a salesperson,
No,
so I'm
I'm
not like
with you. Yeah, no,
salesman.
I'm
Like
with you. Yeah.
that's in the most simple terms, your job you have a number, you need to go hit it by any means necessary ethically.
Mhm.
So the thing is like I can do that. The problem is now I'm in charge of managing those resources, making sure we don't run out of them, right?
Yeah.
Making sure every decision actually makes sense. Like, am I actually bringing on the right people? Am I coaching these people? When I was just in a motion of selling and creating content, that's that's a very simple motion in my eyes, right? It's like
Mhm.
I need to create this thing, I get this output, and I can continuously elevate. But when I started bringing in people and I started thinking about vision, it's like I, in my own head, know exactly what to do. But in working with my coaches, and I've gotten better at this, is they're like, Morgan, everything is in your head, and everything in your head, it makes sense. But also, if I ask your team, they wouldn't know because you're not sharing what's in your head.
Oh, yeah.
And I would get upset with people. Like, "Well, why don't you get it?" And it's like, "Well, I never told you." Right? So so it's like so I was, like, getting mad because I was like, "Why don't y'all get this?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, because everything's in my head. Like,
Yeah.
this is my doing. This is my fault. I need to
Mhm.
take accountability." So what I mean by that is as a salesperson or a creator, you don't really have to tell people what you're doing.
That's fair.
It's
Yeah.
results. I don't have to tell you how I create content. I also don't have to tell you how to do sales if I really don't want to.
Mhm.
But as a business owner, if I'm bringing people in, I have an obligation and a duty to tell you what you're doing. You're putting your life on the line, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm paying you X amount of money for your livelihood. You need to know what's going on. And you shouldn't have to be, I shouldn't have to like be like, oh, you should read my mind. So that's the shift I had to make in a year and a half, 2 years, because I personally never had to do that, except for when I had my SDR team, but that was years and years ago.
Yeah.
I had been conditioned on traveling and running around and doing all that stuff. So I had 4 or 5 years of doing that. Not to say that's right or wrong, it's just where I
Yeah.
was at. So I would say now it's like I've set more of an intention to keep everybody that I work with in the loop of this is what we're doing, this is what I'm thinking, and just so they know where I'm at headwise, so they're
Yeah.
like, "I understand where Morgan's coming from," and that has paid massive dividends by just doing that.
I love it. Man, this is like I'm having this like interesting moment of realizing how like far-ranging and independent a sales role often is, right? And then we just start
Yeah.
getting used to, okay, like get out of my way. I got to go hit these numbers. I'm not coming to this meeting. I got to hit numbers and stuff. So it kind of creates this. Now, I think a lot of people take the lone wolf mentality way too far, and it doesn't serve them and
You could
everything,
over-index on that, for
right?
sure.
But yeah, the idea of, it's not just you. You're no longer a solo producer. You're now working with a team. And I love how you're holding that. Like, okay, how do they not get this? Well, they should be getting it from me, you know? Yeah, that's a big, huge thing. Uh, when you're how does Morgan work on that now with his team? Have you got any special tricks or tips or anything that you've kind of worked on to be better about sharing that knowledge with the team so that way you don't become that black box?
100%. So, every every day of my week has a purpose, and I will
Oh.
say if you do travel or you're not able to do this, I understand. I'm just giving you what's worked for me and you can adjust it accordingly.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at my calendar right now because I want to make sure that I say it appropriately. So they're essentially called the 5 Ps. I personally did not make this up. I saw it on X and then I took someone's framework and I made it my own.
Nice.
So Monday is people. So everybody like contractors, people I work with directly, I at least like I have a director of operations we spend an hour together. So finances, what's going on? I would say he's the voice of reason because I am a person of uh I'm an overthinker.
That's fair.
Bless his heart. So I'm like, oh man, should we do this? Should we do that? And he's like, keep it simple.
Mhm.
But I meet with him and I tell him where I'm at, so it's good. I have like a fractional brand design guy. We'll talk. I have a VA. We'll talk. So I'm just having conversations with people. Uh, and then Tuesday's profit, so that's selling day. Wednesday's process, Thursday's pipeline. So that's just like going over a pipeline, going over where the deals are at. And then Friday is on promotion. So that's like creating content, etc. But
Mhm.
then on Friday evening, afternoon, I have something called review and preview. So I review the
Ooh,
week and then I just tell people, hey, this is where my head's at.
man, I love that. Do you ever, because I'm very routine driven, like, and I kinda split my time a little bit differently than you do. So, like, in the mornings,
Yeah.
is where I do all my deep work. That's where I'm doing my writing. It's when check in with my team and my wife who works on my team and everything else like this. And so I don't take any calls before 11, which is weird for like lots of people in our space. They're like, John, you don't take any calls before 11. You getting anything done? And it's like, I can't mode switch very effectively, right? And so
Yeah.
once I go into like talking to people and helping people, I can't go back to focusing on my own stuff.
Yeah.
So I just split my day intentionally around it. And it works amazingly well, aside from all the questions that I get from other salespeople that like think I'm, piking and not not paying attention to my pipeline and everything.
Yeah.
Do you find it a struggle to stay focused on those days and just being focused on that one thing because you've got this energy? I would imagine Morgan is a guy who likes to move quickly, get a lot of stuff done. Is it hard for you to cultivate that focus for like the full day?
Yeah. It is hard for sure. I find that the days so it's a good question. I still have deep work sessions.
Mhm.
I try to do the same thing as you and not have meetings before 11, yet it is difficult if I'm working with someone internationally. There's no
Yep.
way I just can't get around it, so that's just a part of it. But for the
Mhm.
most part, I try to do that. But I try to set an intention of like, if I can get 2 to 4 hours of deep work every day, I'm in a fantastic spot, right? So that's
Same.
what I try to aim for, either that's early in the morning or later in the evening, but
Mhm.
I just know I like having themes of the day to know what I'm doing. So it's like on Tuesday, I know I'm gonna have sales calls, so my brain's ready for that. I know on Monday, I'm meeting typically with my coaches or in person with my coach or someone on my team, so I'm mentally prepared for that, right?
Mhm.
Because on Monday, I had, like, 2 coaching sessions, to be honest with you, and I was like, "Yo, I got cooked, man." I was like, "They put me through the ringer." I don't know what they were on
Yep.
Monday. I got put through the ringer by both of them, and they don't even know each other, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." So I was like, "I'm thankful I did this in one day because I don't think I coulda done it if it was 2 separate coaching sessions on it. I would have been out of it. I just
Yeah.
needed that day to, like, literally reflect and be like, "Whoa, that was a lot." It was great information, and I was able to absorb it, but it's made this week better. I
Yeah.
don't think it woulda worked if I woulda had those conversations on, Monday and then Wednesday. It just would've been too much for me. So, yeah, at least that's the case where I do have time blocks around that to exert the energy.
Yeah.
And then also I add this as well, if you are like me and you're listening in and you're a creative founder, so creator founder or creative CEO just basically means someone who is a content creator and also creates content. I sometimes just want to create content all the time, and that also is a mistake because it can lead to not me doing revenue generating activities, to be
Yep.
honest. I just love creating content, but like to what end? So that's why I was like, I only genuinely sit down and do deep work content on Friday. I still put my thoughts out through the week that I have in a
Yeah.
notes, but I don't spend time trying to create because I find that I will find an excuse to create
I
more than
love that,
anything
man.
else.
Cause like, uh, big huge thing for me was like doing some assessment training, right? Around my personality and the things that are I'm naturally tuned to go do versus the things that I need to go do to keep this whole thing moving forward. And I found this like it was sales coaching, honestly, that like got me clear on all these things, right? Because I was very stuck for a very long time. I was always like a middle of the pack producer, and I was kind of like an at leaster, and I like to hide in the middle because I didn't really want to like work that hard at a sales job. It wasn't that I was opposed to like working hard. I just was waiting for someone to come along and give me a job that I thought was wealth or worth that focus. Things got
Yeah.
better when I started bringing that focus to the job that I was in. But that awareness of knowing that it's super easy for you to get lost in doing content, right? It's super easy for me to get lost writing. And then I'm not doing revenue generating activities. I'm not building pipeline. I'm not doing these things.
Yeah.
Do you set, like, other than the time, do you set goals and KPIs around the things that you're not as excited to do? Like, one of the things that I talk about with people is like, you don't need to set goals for things that you love to do or going to do automatically or feel drawn to do. You need to set goals
Yeah.
and KPIs around the things you're going to struggle with.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
So this is super, I don't know if you relate to this. Prospecting and working out is the same for me.
Prospecting and working out is the same for you.
And I'll explain it. So
Sure.
I hate the process of going to the gym.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. Yeah.
Like, oh
Uh-huh.
my gosh, I gotta get these shoes. I gotta find these key. I gotta go to the gym. It just sounds, but once I'm in the gym, I'm actually great. Like I
Hmm.
get my bed and I'm like, I'm here. I'm
Yep.
so glad I went. And then after I feel so much better.
Yep.
I'm the same way about prospecting because it's the way of going about it. The part which is like, okay, now I gotta go. Okay, what are the accounts I'm going after? What's the research, et cetera? I gotta do that due diligence. But once I start sending DMs and I'm in motion, I'm great.
Same. Yeah. Hmm.
So that's what I just had to work on. If I'm being transparent, is like I just need to get in it. So what
Yeah.
I've started to do is I will DM people that have, like, engaged or like my post first to get me started, and then now
Mm,
that DMs I'm like, "I'm ready."
yeah.
I find that if I try to do straight cold in the beginning, and this is crazy coming from me because 'cause you're like, "Wait, is that" no, like, it's just I need to, like, kinda rev up. It's like a warm-up set. Like,
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
think it's if you're coming in cold, even though I've been doing this for a while, I kinda need to, like, warm up real quick. So I'll reach out to some people that have viewed my profile or checked out my posts. Then I'm like, "Cool, now I'm ready full tilt," and I could be there for 2 hours DMing, 3 hours DMing, but I have to get the engines to start revving, and so
Yeah.
that's what I have to do that. So, at least that's my routine. So I know, hey, if I send out 20 to 50 DMs a day. I'm not saying I do that every day, but like if I do that, I'm in a good spot if I did that for 30 days because it's going to set me up.
Hmm.
My problem has always been accepting invitations to travel and things that I don't really need to be at.
Oh, that's interesting. Hmm.
We can go into that. but I think that actually puts a lot of founders. I have a really hot take on this one right now.
Well, I think everybody has the opportunity to build a wall and then not focus on the things they need to be focused on, whether that's outreach or whether that's hiring or whether that's documenting all the stuff in their head so that way someone else can come along and do it.
Yeah.
And just run with their hair on fire towards the things that they are excited about. And, before sales coaching and sales training, I was very much this guy of like, you know what, I'll do it when I'm ready, kind of mode. And I'm just like endlessly procrastinating on it, and my
Yeah.
coach was always around the idea of like, if you wait until you're motivated, you're never going to get there. So just do it and then appreciate the fact that it's done. Chores are done. You can now go on and do something else, right?
Exactly.
And, much like you, I try to not let my feelings get in the way of my prospecting until like I'm done with it. And then I'm like, oh, look at this messaging I sent. Look at these
Yeah.
DMs I created. Look at these calls that I've made, right?
Yeah.
And just choosing to appreciate like a job well done, which is
100%.
like a big, huge mindset shift because I know everybody and I'm sure you hear the same things. Well, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it when I feel like it. When does that show up?
You
When do
never
you
will.
feel like it?
You just never will. It just
Never
won't,
will. Absolutely not.
won't occur.
Changing gears a little bit. We were kind of talking before we hit record, and we were talking about getting lost, chasing trends, shiny things, stuff
Yeah.
like that. Can you talk a little bit more about how that is kind of like shown up for you in your business?
Yeah, so I am a person that likes to go where the puck is going, not where it's at.
Okay.
And so I've always looked at my career as like, how can I be ahead? How can I be innovative?
Mhm.
How can I be Nostradamus? Right.
Mhm.
So, and the reason for that is you could say there's a level of ego, sure, but the real reason is because I've seen it work in the past. So when I started out as an SDR, I was creating content as an SDR 10 years ago on LinkedIn, which again was unheard of,
Yeah.
which accelerated my career path. So my whole mindset has always been, how can I stay ahead? I'm really ahead right now. How do I continuously stay ahead? So that's just been my
Mhm.
mindset. Right or wrong, we can have a debate on that, but like that's just where my head's been at. So when I was doing the influencer marketing, I was getting brand deals before people were really getting brand deals on LinkedIn. So I was like, okay, I'm still ahead on the edge. But then I started seeing a lot of people being like, now's the time where we need to have our executives create content on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And also, it was during the time where LinkedIn's like, we're going to do more video, and people were getting
Yep.
like 500,000 views of video. So I was like, this is it. I was like, I, I created content for 10 years. I'm good at video. I have a proven track record. I can just help other executives make videos and content.
Mhm.
And I can just be a producer. It doesn't have to, I don't have to be the main act. And this is how I can create a scalable business and I can exit. And this is why all I did this work.
Yeah.
That was so wrong. But
Well,
like logically, that makes sense. You're
yeah,
like,
like on paper, like this makes a ton of sense, right? You
that
see
makes
a
a ton of
trend,
sense.
let's get into it. Let's try to help people out. And like I can even like I love this thing that I do. Arguably too much. I get way too
Yeah.
excited about it. People who I know super well, if they want to call me on a Saturday, I'm like, "Oh yeah, we can talk shop on a Saturday. I shouldn't be doing these things, but I genuinely like what I do." And so I think in that line of like do something you're passionate about, do something you love, like I think some people are benefited from that, but I think it hurts a lot of people, right? So
Yeah.
I'm hearing this mode of like, hey, there's an opportunity here, we can drive some value, but then it's not such this like passion project that it would be hard for you to potentially like I can see a lot of alignment in this thing. Where did the friction show up for you? How did you start to realize that it wasn't the best lane for you? Was it like one day or was it like accumulated over time?
Accumulated over time. I'd
Okay.
say I'd say after like 6 to 8 months. I mean, I give things like probably, I think you should give things at least 6 months.
Yeah. Takes
Unless
time.
it's like super obvious you need to pull out because I think you need to give it commitment of time
Mhm.
to see like, is this really the thing? Right. So yeah, I gave like 6 to 8 months. The couple things that happened. Number one is I realized I didn't have as much control as I wanted. Not to say I'm a control freak, but like the control lever of success was not as high as I wanted it to be. It's like a
Interesting.
40% in your control. So like
Okay.
if I create content for you, John, you could easily be like, don't like this.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
you wake up one day and be like, I don't even want to do this anymore. Or one client we worked with, it's like we did a whole project for them,
Uh-huh.
flew out people, did the whole videos, and then the CMO was like, "Oh, we changed initiatives, so we need you to reshoot the entire thing." I think
Ugh.
at that point, I was like, "This is ridiculous.
Mhm.
I don't even want to do this anymore." So I think it's because that too is that uh you're just again, if you're really good at it, then shout out to people who are really good at this. You're beholden to an algorithm, and it just required so much of my time.
Yeah, yeah.
Much obsessiveness that I was like, I personally just don't feel like I wanna do that. Like,
That's fair.
I rather have my obsession level in something else. Not to say that I'm not dedicated or committed, I
Mhm.
am, but, like, I just wasn't committed to that, at the end of the day. And the third thing is I think it's, like, just it's harder to track that.
Yeah.
Uh track results of content, track results of backend that people get. And I found that it just wasn't actually getting me excited. And I realized that the team also wasn't really excited about it as well. And it probably because innately, I think subconsciously they realized that I wasn't really that excited about it,
Hmm.
if being honest. So I think that was what was really going on. And no knock if someone, I mean, there are people who do it now and it's successful for them. But also, this is something important, is that the model of business that I was creating did not fit the model of the person that I am.
Oh, man, thank you for bringing this up because I see people working trying to build a business that does not line up with, like, who they, like, actually are,
Yeah,
and, the most simple example are, control freaks that, don't wanna do client work, so they sell themselves on the fact that they should be a consultant, when in actuality, since they've got high standards and they've got a high level of operation, running an agency would make a lot more sense. They just need to be better at client selection, right?
yeah,
But instead, someone said this line of like, "Well, if you're just becoming a consultant," and, you know, showing people the problem and the gap is like one thing, but if your greatness is getting people past that thing, like, don't try to become a consultant, like, just be an agency, just do the work for them. But
yeah.
people take these, like, ideas and just run with them. Now, I saw some of the content you were making, we follow a lot of the same people, and you were getting some massive props from people in our space from the content that you were making. Did you have this, like, season of kind of, like, trying to separate the good from the bad? Was it difficult for you to kinda move away from, like, the people that were talking you up and giving you praise on the work that you were doing to kind of move more in a meaningful direction?
Yeah, so I always not always haven't believed this, but in working my coach for the past year, one phrase that we discuss often is, "I'm exactly where I need to be at all times."
Oof, yeah.
So I received that praise and the work that we did, yet it allows us to take what people really loved and do what needs to be done today, right? Or maybe a later point in the company.
Hmm,
So I received that as in like, wow, people love this content. There's nothing stopping us from doing that content now.
mhm,
We just have a different outcome than we did in the past. So yeah, I really took that and received it as in like, I'm glad people love this content because also as well, you probably seen his content, Kevin Dorsey.
mhm,
I remember having a conversation with him in 20 it was like literally a couple weeks before COVID happened. So 2019.
mhm,
And so I just told him I always wanted to start a media content company and help people create content. I always wanted to do it.
mhm,
And it's like, you should just do it. He's like, the worst case scenario, it just doesn't work, but you learn a lot. And that was what it was. I really wanted to do it. And I would have regretted it if I'd never tried at least and given it an effort. And I did, and it just wasn't exactly what it needed to be for me in that moment. Who
mhm.
knows? But I learned a lot and I found a lot of people. But I will say I received all the good that came out of it, as in like, okay, I could produce really great content and people like it. So there's got to be another way to do that. And now we've figured that out. But yeah, that was at least what that was in the moment.
When you're going through the change, you find the clarity that you're you're not moving in a line direction, you're gonna make these changes and everything. I'm curious if you felt any friction about making the change. Sometimes we get really wrapped up in the identity or in the business and who we're putting ourselves at as. Did you struggle with being open to making this pivot, or was it pretty much you see the light, we're just moving in this direction, we don't need to beat ourselves up about it?
Fortunately, I have a I have a really good sense of like when things are like not going right,
Okay.
and when to make the change. I struggle with my feelings about how that's gonna occur.
Ooh, struggle with my feelings.
Like, and
Oh,
so let me
what do you
explain
mean?
that. So
Please.
I know I need to have a hard conversation. I know that we're not heading in the right direction. I don't like the feeling of being in the moment of having a conversation or the feeling of having to actually make that change. I
Mhm.
know it logically, but the feelings I'm like, I don't want to feel that though.
Yeah.
I don't even wanna feel it. So I might kinda avoid it for a bit, which is not good, and I've worked on that. So, yeah, in the moments of when change had to occur, I don't like the feeling of, like, and this is probably not even true because it's the stories we tell ourselves
Yep.
that probably aren't even true, where it's like, "Oh, man, I don't wanna, like, have the feeling that I'm a failure. I don't wanna have the feeling like I don't know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
I don't wanna have the feeling that, like, I've lost."
Yeah.
None of those things are, like, inherently true, though. Like, you haven't lost because I'm still alive, right? You haven't failed because everyone fails and you learn. It's just part of the game.
Yeah,
And
still
then
out here doing it.
right, and then also inherently, like, people could say something, but also it's, like, not that deep at the end of the day.
Yes, exactly, right? Like, oh god, man, like, that's and especially with, like, social media and content and these things, it's super easy to start putting ourselves up on this pedestal of making it way deeper and bigger than what it is, and what are people gonna think about me? Most people don't really care. Like, most people are stuck in their own bubble, but I face that same stuff of, like, okay, what are people gonna, like, think about this change? And, like, oh, yeah, most people don't care, right? And, like,
No.
I had to do this thing actually before the book came out. Was just, trying to figure out, like, okay, how do I not let this thing blindside me, put me on a path that doesn't make any sense? And I started to realize of, okay, man, you're going to launch this book and no one's going to give a crap. You're still going to have to go find people. You're still going to have to go put in the hands of the people that it's meant for and everything. Like, this doesn't change anything, right? You're still going to have to get up and go to work the next day. And it was so helpful, right? Because, like, I'm talking to, like, other people that have written books and they're like, "Oh my god, this is going to be great." People were reading it and giving me great feedback. And if I just, like, bottle fed myself on all this great feedback, I'm going to start thinking I'm like Tim Ferriss or Jeb Blunt or one of these guys, that can write a book and it changes everything.
Yeah.
But I was very much like, okay, man, nothing changes. You're still gonna have to get up and do your outreach. You're still gonna have to get up and do these things, And it was super helpful because I think otherwise I would have put all this pressure on myself of like, oh my God, this is gonna be a game changer when it was a game changer, but only through like effort. Like
Yeah.
it didn't categorically change anything the day after, right? I just started using it in my outreach and sharing it with people and it led to change. But super easy to start thinking, oh, this one post is going to change everything. Probably not,
Probably not.
you know?
Probably not.
When you think about your path as a founder and aside from the pivot, because the pivot is a very, very cool moment in time, in my opinion, what stage of growth has been the hardest for you?
Accepting that I have flaws and sharing them.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Was that what an answer, man. What does that mean?
I've never been asked this question, but I always tell myself I'm gonna answer honestly, and, it's because I have a part of me that always feels like I have to get it right,
Mm,
and
same.
that if
Very
I get
much
it
same.
wrong if I get it wrong, people won't follow me, they won't care. They'll just go away.
Hmm.
That's a story that I tell myself that's again, that's also not true, right? Because we all make mistakes, right? You can't
Yeah.
always get it right. It's literally impossible. And if you aim to get it right, you're probably gonna play too safe, and then that's also detrimental to yourself. So, yeah, I have this thing, if I start this company, I have to get every single angle right, otherwise, I'm gonna disappoint people, and I'm gonna disappoint myself. And I've realized that once I started accepting the flaws of me and saying, "Here's who I am, here's a gift I
Mhm.
have, here's where I am not good at it, I suck."
Yeah.
And I started communicating that to my team and also a little bit to my audience, a lot of things changed. People showed up completely differently than how they did in the past. They also
Interesting.
felt more open to give me better feedback, to challenge me, and to be better supports as teammates and also as even clients or even peers.
Was it something you were aware that you weren't doing, or was it more like you didn't know the bridge went that far?
I didn't know the bridge went that far.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't really know it until as I started having more conversations about it and I started working with coaches on it. I was like, oh, this is a thing that I do pretty consistently that I just wasn't aware of.
One of the things that I kind of talk about with people is how hard it is to write as yourself on social media. Super easy to get behind the desk, and as I look out on my lordly manner, right, and you're way overdoing it and stuff like this. It takes
Yeah,
a lot of reps, a lot of revisions, a lot of time to really just kind of write as yourself, good, bad, or otherwise. And I think that point that you're talking about is frighteningly similar, right? Like I know a lot of people that are feeling this kind of pressure to be perfect because they decided to go found a company, and what happens is they just kind of end up not being able to really like connect with anybody.
yeah,
Like their team, their prospects, investors if they're trying to go that route. But it all just comes down to you're like putting this like glass dome over yourself in the form of perfection that shuts down the ability to be authentic. But
exactly.
it takes a long time before you can even realize that you're building that glass around yourself. Like no one asks us to do any of these things. This is all just like self-perceived, well, I want to be successful, so I'm going to do these things kind of modes. how do you get better at this now? Do you journal? Is it this work with coaches? Like, how do you continue to kind of keep looking for your blind spots and your gaps and challenges that way you can kind of communicate them with your team and your prospects?
If I feel like I have something that is weighing me, or I feel like it's starting to get pushed down because that's what I naturally do,
Mhm,
I bring it up. So if it's somebody that like I might have not a beef with, but if I'm just like, like I need to communicate something to somebody, like, hey, like, first of all, I say, like, are you in a headspace just to like hear me out? Because I'm gonna talk about something that may be like not heavy, but like it's not gonna be a normal conversation. And then I just bring it up and say, hey, like, here's something I'm feeling, here's a concern I have. And
mhm,
then talk it through. What's really important though, as obviously as a founder and you have your team, this is not the excuse or the right of way for you to complain. Like,
mhm,
you don't wanna do that every day, because then if you complain to your team all the time, they're not gonna obviously respect you or follow you.
yeah,
I just come to things that it's like, it's just been weighing on me for a while, and it's like, if I keep this going, at some point, they are gonna realize something's wrong, and I might come off way worse than what I am right now.
yeah,
So what I focus on is, "Oh, this thing is weighing on me, this thing is occurring. Okay, I'm gonna go talk to someone, team, friend, whoever it is, right?"
mhm,
That too is working with coaches, that's, like, self-explanatory.
yep,
The third thing is I say a declaration of who I am at the beginning every single morning, and then in the evening, I write down things that I'm committed to, and then every look at the calendar. Yeah, every 3 to 4 months, I'll write down all the things that I'm grateful for, and I thank myself for taking action on, that I would
dude,
not have done in the past.
yeah, man, like, gratitude is something I've been trying to work on for, I think I'm in my 2nd year of it, right? Because 'Cause I'm just not
Yeah.
really great at appreciating my own progress, appreciating the small things. Like, as soon as I get done with something, I just wanna move on to the next one,
Oh,
like,
yeah, you're like me, I'm, like, psychotic. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, cool, great."
"Oh,
Like,
dude,
people
like,
congrats, I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, I don't care, next thing."
this is how deep it runs." Like, I decided that I was gonna get into woodworking because I like having a big puzzle, it takes up some space,
Yeah,
right? And so I decide I'm gonna start figuring this stuff out. I don't have any knowledge experience in this space at all, but I'm starting to figure it out a little bit. And I decide I'm gonna make a bench, right? Just, like my version of a crappy birdhouse, okay?
mhm,
And so, because you got to make if you're going to get good at anything, and I'm aware of this, I can't just read about it, which is kind of my normal approach of things. If I just research enough, I'll be good at it. That's faulty. You have to go and do.
right.
And so I make this bench, and I'm all very excited. I'm learning all this stuff and everything, and I bring it home. And as soon as I'm done with it, like on the drive home, I'm already thinking about what I'm gonna do differently on the next bench. So I bring it home. My wife is super excited. She's very
No way.
supportive. And then my daughter comes home and I was like, "Hey, do you want to see the bench?" And she was like, "Yeah." She's very excited for me as well. And I take her into the bathroom where the bench is living, and she has this moment, and she's like, "Oh my god, this is so good." And then she's like, "But wait a minute, hold on a second. You don't like praise on things that you've done. So, like, what are you gonna do next time?" She's 13 years old, man, right?
She's
And, like,
clocking good 13.
I'm floored
That's
that
crazy.
first of all, this element of my personality is so well known to people, and then my 13-year-old daughter is just able to just, like, instantly pivot in the conversation. I was like, "I
Yeah,
first of all, I need to work on myself a little bit, but, like, also, I'm kinda killing it as a parent over here that
you
she's, like this aware and able to kinda pivot in a
that's
conversation and
crazy,
stuff."
man.
So wild, but, like, that's where I was like, "Okay, I need to work on this," right? Because 'Cause I've done some
Yeah,
pretty cool things, and if I don't ever take any appreciation for, like, the hard stuff that I do because I'll just, "Okay, well, what's my goal now? What's my goal now?" I get very fixated on just, like, the next thing? So, I love the reflection on that, right? Like, I do a thing, in my note taking every day, and it's like, "Okay, what did I do today that wasn't on the task list?" Right?
yeah,
Because I'll I'll take a random call, I'll help someone else out, I'll hop into the community and try to help some
sure.
people and stuff, and since that's not on the calendar and it's not in my note taking system, it's super easy to just, meh, right? Just kind of show up a little negative about it.
Whatever.
But reflection, man, super, super important. I love that you're going through that process of what am I grateful for and how's that impacting me? Like, oh, super easy, I think, for salespeople to get very fixated on like the dopamine rush of,
It
the
is.
small wins that come. But being a founder, and I talk about this with people, like sales is about short-term focus, right? The day, the week, the month, and the quarter. Whereas being a founder, you got to be able to kind of disconnect from that short-term view and be thinking about like the years and the decades and like the exit and stuff like that. If that's the path that you're on, it's a
Yeah,
very different mode, you know?
it is. It is a different mode, and you have to understand what those modes are and what season of the modes you're in.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like and you probably run into this as well, right? Like all these people that are trying to build 5,000 a day cold email engines when they've not even had a closed deal at all, right? They just want to automate the whole thing from the jump, right? And then hide in their tower and not talk to anybody.
It's getting it's getting wild. I genuinely just don't like it, and I'm not coming from, "Oh, Morgan's being a grandpa about it." No, I
Yeah.
just that we're trying to create shortcuts where we're not focusing on the fundamentals to even acquire, to even access the shortcut. That's my
Man,
whole
yeah. Like I had this conversation with myself, this is probably 6 months ago, of like really like sitting down with myself, like, okay, am I gatekeeping or are we just moving in a bad direction, right? Because when you're really into something, like I love discovery conversations. I love diving deep with people and really seeing if this is what you need. Is there a use case? Is there ROI? Like I love all that stuff, right? And I don't think that AI is really at the place to where that's going to be done yet. But I also can acknowledge that I love this stuff, and so it's super easy for me to think like the gap is bigger than what it actually is, right?
yeah, for sure.
How do you stay open to changes and progress in this field that we're in, but also staying very focused on the things that like need to be human driven.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, it's what I tell, especially SDRs, but I think for most people, is like, you just need to know enough to be dangerous. That's how I look at AI. I don't really truly have a desire to be 0.001% AI because it would require me to never go to sleep.
Yeah.
There are too many updates, there are too many things that are happening for me to even do that. And
Hmm.
so I'm not gonna do that. But can I be like 10 to 20%? Yeah, probably, because most people just won't spend enough time to even ever acquire that.
Yep.
So I know enough and understand the LLMs to give advice, especially for salespeople, because most people don't know where to go.
Hmm.
But what I know most important is gonna be the human connection and things of nature, because everyone is so focused on the AI stuff.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's so focused on building a Claude bot, Claude 360,
Oh
Claude
yeah.
do it that I can get 50 meetings. I don't think that all that is gonna really solve our problems. I think what's really gonna solve the problems is how you connect with people and the connection that they feel.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend more time on the work that I do with my coach to continuously connect with myself. I'd rather spend my time on the psychology of people. I'd rather spend my time on human
Yeah.
nature than spending all my time on AI and just becoming a robot in the process and
Hmm.
just at home, just doing stuff all the time with AI. Like that doesn't sound like a very exciting life to me at all. And maybe that is for some people if they make a lot of money doing that. It's just not me. I just
Well,
don't care.
like what it comes back to for me is that everyone is trying to like automate connection is like missing the main point, right? Because like
No,
it doesn't make any sense to try to do discovery when they're still thinking that when they're still holding a commodity mindset, or when they don't trust you, or I mean your discovery is going to be shallow, your follow-up's going to be garbage, you're not going to get a deal done, right? And so pushing more so that way we can have more walls up conversations, like, isn't really going to like change anything. But
no,
to me, what it comes down to is like people don't appreciate the ability to connect with colder traffic and people who don't know you yet. And in my opinion, that's one of the bigger aspects of being in sales, right? Like if you can't get connection with people, you're not going to make it. I don't care how much outbound you can do,
no,
you know?
no. And that's the thing. And what people are missing And to your point is that's being said is sure, we could try to people claim that they're claiming that they're booking, 400 meetings a month, which is funny because I know if I was booking 400 meetings a month, I wouldn't be online.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
I wouldn't be talking to anyone besides the people I'm meeting with.
Yep.
So when I see that, I'm like, logically, I don't know how people fall in this. I don't know how people fall into these traps.
Yep.
But what I will say is that inevitably, even if you use AI to book all these meetings, sure. Even though leaders are replacing their teams with I just don't think that people are ready to actually buy
Oh,
from an AI person, an AI thing. I don't think we're ready for that yet. So
yeah.
that then leads to a level of connection. If you're selling a deal that's 10K, 15K plus, like someone's gonna want to at least have a conversation with you
Exactly. Yeah.
at minimum. So I think that's why the connection and who you are, and again, you mentioned it earlier, which is trust is critical. And I also believe that is once someone finds out that your entire sales force is AI, I'm pretty confident they're gonna have lower trust
Mm,
in you, right?
agreed.
Especially if you're not telling people. So
Oh, yeah.
that's my whole take on that right now.
The whole AI SDR thing, right, of, like, outbound calling, it's like, okay, like, first of all, you should just know that that's illegal, like, in most states and in most countries, right? Like the robocalling and stuff like that. Like, you don't get a pass because you think you're the good guy, right? Like, you're still doing a tactic that is, like, frowned upon and isn't
Right.
helpful in the grand scheme of things, you know? And honestly, I'm curious as to what your thoughts are about this. I think that one of the reasons why so many salespeople struggle, right, is that the goals are crazy, right?
Yeah,
Unrealistic, if you will, right?
sure.
Do you think and I'm also with you around the idea that if we're trying to hit goals, we need people pushing people towards these goals, right? I think I think if people really want to be like AI led, they just essentially have to take all their goals and all their forecasting off of it and just really be some weird version of like product led growth of just like, we hope that we're going to get there and everything. But
Yeah.
because a lot of these things are fundraised, right? And people want their money back. These goals kind of come down from the top, which I think is the greatness that will keep sales people employed, but it also creates all the friction because the goals are unrealistic and they're just way too high and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that?
One of my thoughts of the goals are just too high and like what people should do.
Well, just the idea that like salespeople are kind of always going to have a role because goals are always going to be a thing, right? And so the same
Yeah.
thing that causes the anxiety is also the same thing that creates the space for us to still be, in motion.
Yeah, I feel like the goals will you could say the goals will reduce, but I don't see that happening. I
Oh,
think
I mean, they never go down. I mean, you know that as
yeah,
well as I do, right?
goals will right. So the thing is that a human will always find a way and a new thing to do because they have to one, have to survive, and so they have to innovate and figure it out.
Mhm.
I don't know the depths of AI, but in AI, technically, like it's there. So like it may not feel the pressure to innovate and try something new.
100%.
It's
Yeah,
only
it's
based
only
off
as good as the
mirror.
person who's directing it.
Yeah, it's only a mirror off of what you're doing. So
Yeah.
there's a level where it's like I feel like sales will be one of the last things to be addressed by AI. And I'm also not saying this to say this. Oh my gosh. The CEO of the former CEO of HubSpot, his name is Brian, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't know where this clip's at, but I saw it the other day. And he talked about how even they have not found incredible use cases for sales and marketing yet.
Yeah.
So if HubSpot has not figured it out, I'm pretty confident that a lot of people probably won't be able to figure out for a while as well.
Yeah. If Anthropic
So,
is posting roles to fill a whole sales team,
so I'm saying,
yeah,
I think that people are again over indexing. I don't think that AI can help people as much in the sales process as they think that it can.
I agree with
It's
you.
helpful, but I don't think it can take over everything. Because that's
Agreed.
also I don't think that's what people want. And here's my problem with it. I don't think that's what you want. So why are we trying to force something that you don't even want? That's my whole problem with it right now.
Yeah.
It's like
Like
SDR leaders who are like, "I don't take a cold call." It's like, what are we talking about? You're telling your team
well,
to cold call, you don't take cold calls? Like, this has just become really silly. So
yeah.
that's where my I'm at with it right now.
Well, that's like, for every person that's trying to use AI in their sales motion, right? Whatever version of that looks like. Let's go look at the interactions with the chat bot, right? And how people lose their mind whenever they realize that they're not going to get the help that they want. And this is just part of the human condition. I'm not getting
Yeah,
what I want, rah rah rah, I'm going to be mad.
yeah,
Like, and now we're going to do this around sales and timelines and connection and I mean all these things like
no, we're
no
not.
one is going to do it unless it's a commodity. And like that's going the wrong direction because there's a lot of depth and there's a lot of room to be different and stuff like this. And if no one's talking about those things and we're just leaving these people to go self-select, a lot of people are going to make the wrong choice. Like one of my favorite mantras is no one ever got fired for buying IBM, right? Well, someone
Yeah,
did get fired because they decided not to buy IBM. They wanted to save a little bit of money. They wanted to not go with the brand incumbent, and it didn't go according to plan, and they got the axe for it and stuff like that.
yeah.
I think we're going to see a ton of that if it really tries to go as much AI as the people that are trying to push AI for their sales and marketing are trying to make it out to be. So,
I agree.
changing gears a little bit, Morgan, because we're running out of time, and I respect your time and really appreciate you coming in and doing this.
For sure.
When a founder is thinking about selling, right, and they're just starting out, what, in your very qualified opinion, do they need to be thinking about when it comes to sales and sales training?
It's three things. I think these are the only three things that matter when you start. Number one is don't that, and this is I'm saying this respectfully. So someone's gonna clip this and take it and be like, "Oh, Morgan's making fun of." No, I'm not. Don't think about yourself as an SDR when you start.
Mm,
So, so I worked with 50. I've been working with 50 founders. They've gone off on their own, consultants, etc. And they previously were VPs, CROs, CMOs.
mhm,
These are like 10 people. They were struggling though mentally to send DMs. And I was like, what? I don't understand. So as I was working with them, I realized it was a blocker for them because they were telling themselves the story that they needed to be an SDR.
mm,
And they were like, I don't want to be an SDR. And I'm like, but no, your first step should be DMing people that you already know.
yep,
You have leverage. You've built teams. You've built million dollar programs. SDR hasn't done that. That's why they got to reach out to a lot of people because they don't know anyone.
yes,
They have no network. They got
yeah,
to figure it out. You don't need to do that. Mindset shift. So the first thing in selling, number one is reach out to everyone in your network that you know,
mhm,
whether that's I have this service that I want to sell you, or do you know someone in your network that I can sell this service to? This is a reminder I have to tell myself sometimes of like, yeah, this is what I need to do.
yep,
Number two is looking at who your competitors are and seeing who their customers are, who has bought from these people. Uh, I'll name a mistake that I made
please.
is don't, it sounds cool, but don't sell something that nobody's really bought.
Oh, man.
'Cause I was like, trying to be like, let me sell influencer
Yeah,
shows. This is a new thing on the market. But
yeah.
like,
No one's done this before, I'm gonna be the first one, and, like, no one's excited to be the guinea pig.
exactly. No one has done this before. There's no
Yep,
line item. It's not in the P&L. The CFO doesn't know what this is.
yes,
I
exactly.
didn't realize that, but like now I'm like, duh. So find things that people are already buying.
Mhm,
It's people are already buying sales consulting and training.
yep,
So, but I just made a different spin on it. So I have a unique advantage. We do it a little bit differently than how other people do it.
mhm,
But like people are already buying it. So it's easy to conceptualize.
mhm,
The third thing is think about how to make your buying, how to make the selling experience with their buying experience and experience. So, you know, how you follow up, how you ask questions, being a professional, those things go a long way because most people aren't thinking about how to like make this an experience for the buyer and they feel like, oh, this is legit. You want them
yeah.
to make it, you want them to feel like you're a professional and you're legit.
Oh,
I'd say
man.
those three things are the things that I focus on.
I'm such a fan for, like, high level, like, onboarding and stuff like that, like, and I
Yeah,
think a lot of people get, especially a lot of the people who end up as, like, solo founders, right, and they're more of, like, operators and, like, good enough should be good enough, and you should just be happy with the output.
yeah,
Man, a really great onboarding experience is a game changer,
it is.
so
It is. 100%.
when, in the world of social media and content and everything, and, we've talked a lot about content today, what is the LinkedIn post or, X tweet that you can now appreciate, but you had to go learn the lesson the hard way?
I saw this tweet when I started and I like kind of laughed at it. And now I was like, I actually understand what that means now. It, who was it? Chris Williamson? I don't know who said it, but like, it was like entrepreneurship is like willingly eating glass every single day while driving 100 miles per hour on the highway.
Yeah,
And I was like, I feel that. I understand that now. Like, but you don't get it until you're in it. You're like, yeah, I
yeah,
willingly eat glass every single day, and I'm driving very fast on the highway. Yeah, it sounds all right.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
it like, I've not seen that, but it's this weird thing of, like, we make this choice to go do this, right? Like, no one asked us to do these things, right? And I talk with, like, a lot of founders who are stuck in that mode of, like, well, they're they're trying to martyr themselves, and it's like, you decided to do this, and that's the first important conversation, right? And every time you're feeling like you're struggling, right, you decided to do this. No one held a gun to your head.
That was you. That was your decision.
Yeah, exactly, right, like, and so, along with that, there's probably a lot of other ways to make money, to pay your bills, to do the bare minimum, right, and but since we chose to do this, right, we're also choosing everything that kinda goes along with it, right? Big fan
Exactly.
of that choose your hard mentality, like, if you don't wanna live on a budget, you better work on a role to where you've got of the opportunity to earn more when you wanna make more, right? Or get comfortable living on a budget,
Yeah, you figure it out.
you know?
Figure it
But the
out.
when you've been in the space for a long time and coming from sales, right? You've got, I mean, a lot of experience there. What is your word of warning for any founder, regardless of whether it's content or sales coaching or building an agency or consultancy? What is your word of warning for someone who's going to start today?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick to my original point is don't chase the trends. Unless your skill set is directly correlated to that, that's obviously a lot different.
Hmm.
Some people have inverse advice, but I would say don't chase the trends. I'd really focus on what John you had mentioned earlier is what are people coming to you for? Like when you do it, it feels not only like it just feels like you're alive.
Yeah,
Like it's like I'm alive and I connect with people in a different lane. Like that's what you need to be looking for.
yeah,
Chasing the trends will only lead you to chasing money, which can lead to results, but at some point you're gonna feel very disconnected from it. And that's what you don't want. That's my
man, I love that.
advice.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
Morgan, if people want to come hang out with you, keep up with you, learn more about what you're doing, maybe see if there's room to work together, where's the best place for them to come hang out with you at?
LinkedIn, you can hang out there. If you want deeper information, YouTube. We also have something called Muffins with Morgan. Yes, I eat muffins and we talk about sales, so it's a lot of fun. I do that every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific. It's on our
Awesome.
site, DM Social.
Very cool. Awesome. Morgan, thank you so much for coming on, man, and talking about your pivot and talking about, figuring it out by doing, because I think a lot of people won't start until they think that they can, think their way through the problem, and being open to pivots and changes is a big part of this game. So really
Yes,
appreciate you coming on and sharing. I think it's going to help a lot of people.
absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Cheers.